Lighting a room to use as a YouTube studio can be a nightmare, especially if you're working on a tight budget. And I've struggled for weeks on this. But I finally found something that I think is at least acceptable, and I did it for right around $200. Stick around, I'll show you how I did it. Welcome to Old Man Learns New Tricks, where I walk you through the learning curve of setting up to become a YouTube creator from scratch. On this channel, you'll hopefully be able to learn from my mistakes and my research, saving you a little bit of time and hopefully some money too. If you like the idea of learning how to create YouTube content along with me, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I drop my next video. Today, we're going to go a little bit in depth on studio lighting. Now, this is something that I brought up on almost every video that I've created so far because it's been a struggle and I've tried several different things. So this time around, I'm going to show you the equipment that I purchased, how I have it set up, and show you how you can get these same lights and set them up yourself. I'll also give some information on how to get really good color rendering, regardless of what kind of camera you use or what kind of lighting you use. So be sure to stick around for that. When I first started watching YouTube content with an eye toward becoming a creator myself, one of the things that I noticed is that most of the really successful channels and the ones that I kept going back to had production value that was on point. Their lighting and their audio were fantastic. Now, the cool thing about a lot of these channels is that they do a lot of tutorials, and they'll show you exactly how they have their studio set up and the equipment they use. The problem is, a lot of these established channels use really expensive equipment. I would love to have an Aperture 300D like Peter McKinnon uses for his key light, but I can't afford a $1,000 light, and then I'd still need a stand and a light box. Hell, I can't even afford the little Aperture rechargeable lights at this point. The biggest point that I want to make leading into this video is that this can be done without a huge time or money investment, which is exactly how you should do it if you're first starting out. As you go, you'll realize that you need a different type of lighting, or you'll come up with some specific stuff that you would like to use. If you make a huge upfront investment and then find out you really don't like it, you're going to take a big hit. I don't have enough experience or knowledge to know what kind of gear I'm going to be using a year out or 2 years out. So I'm better off spending a little bit of money now to get an acceptable result, learn some more before I make a big investment. I started out by spending about $50 on a 3-light set with a backdrop on eBay. Now, I really wanted the backdrop because at the time I thought I was going to be doing a lot of green screen. Now, as I've learned some more, I know that's not going to be the case. I do appreciate having the backdrop stand, though. That has come in handy. The lights are decent. They have umbrella diffusers, 2 of them, and then 1 umbrella reflector with 45-watt fluorescents. They work pretty well. At 45 watts, I found them to be a little bit underpowered. And with the umbrella diffusers, it was difficult to control the light, to keep it from spilling on the background where I didn't want it to. The umbrella reflector has gold foil on the inside of it, which gave off a much warmer light than what I was looking for. So what I learned from this is that you should get the most powerful bulbs or the light with the brightest output that you can afford, and preferably something that you can dim. Go big, back down from it if you have to, but have that capability there if you need it. So with the 45-watt lights, I found that I was having to step up my ISO and open up the aperture. I was being controlled by the capabilities of my lights. Now I'm using one of them as a fill light. I use another one to light my background when I want a little extra light on the background, and I'm not using the reflector umbrella at all. So I went shopping for something with a higher light output. One of my main requirements was that it have a soft box. I learned that the umbrella reflectors don't give enough control. I needed to soften the light, but I want to be able to control spill off as well. I ended up landing on this 80-watt LED light from GVM. It came with a softbox and a stand, and I got lucky and got it on Amazon Warehouse as an open box for about $128. I'm pretty sure the going price new is around $160. I'll link to it in the description below, as well as anything else that I talk about in this video, so you can go check current prices. Let me switch over to my GoPro camera so I can show you how things are set up. You can see the fluorescent light on the right with the diffusion umbrella that I'm using for a fill light. And then over here is the GVM 80 watt with a softbox. So I've got the softbox set up at about a 45-degree angle from where I sit, and I've got the fill light very close to me because it's not a very powerful light, so I have to have it pretty close to get the kind of fill that I want. I am probably an arm's length away from, you're probably not going to be able to see that on this GoPro. I'm probably about an arm's length away from the GVM. And I've got it set at about 75%. So it gives me enough light. I think at that point it would be brighter if I had it pointing directly at me and turned all the way up, of course, but then it would spill a lot of light onto the background. So the next thing I wanted to do was add a little bit of interest in the background. I mentioned the Aperture MX RGB lights a little bit earlier, and they're great for adding little pops of color and some little spots of light here and there, but they're kind of pricey. So I was looking for a cheaper option. I ended up finding this 30-watt RGB spotlight that I could mount on the wall behind me to point down towards my bar and my ancient stereo system back there. It worked out okay. There's only about two color settings and two brightness settings that I can use without some really horrible scan lines, but I was able to get blue and on its brightest setting to work pretty well. I paid $16 for that thing. Then I wanted something for my bookcase, so I found these small puck lights that use AAA batteries that are RGB, a set of 6 of them for $18. Again, kind of like that spotlight, there's not very many settings that don't create scan lines, and the output is really small, but they were kind of perfect for what I wanted to use them for back there. I paid, I think, $18 for that set of 6. I also wanted to add a little bit more interest to the scene and actually hide some kind of ugly stuff that is stored over there. So I set up a second computer that I have here in my office to show a picture of my dog. I thought that added a nice white and green color pop there and something to add a little bit more interest. It might be a little bit distracting though, so do me a favor. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. Let me know if I should keep it, change it to a different picture, or just completely get rid of it. I guess one of the points that I'm really trying to make here is that, especially with these RGB lights that I purchased, you get what you pay for. In one of my previous videos, I talked about how I was using these work lights from Harbor Freight to light myself in a campground when I was doing a vlog shoot, and how it almost completely ruined all of the footage that I took until I was able to find a way to fix it in post. So you get what you pay for. Use caution. Buy super cheap so you're not out a lot of money if it just doesn't work for you. I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I was going to talk about how to get good color in your video, regardless of what kind of lighting or camera you're using. So what it's all about is white balance. Now, most cameras have preset white balance settings for sunlight, cloudy day, tungsten, fluorescent, and those work pretty good if you're in those exact conditions. The sunshine and cloudy sections I've found tend to work really well outdoors. Once you get indoors, especially if you're mixing different styles of lights, it starts to get a little bit tricky. There are two ways to set a custom white balance that I've found that I've used. One of them involves setting a custom white balance in the camera. There's a couple of different ways to do that where you can take a still photo with the camera and use a neutral color within that photo to set your white balance and then continue to shoot in that area. And then you can do it in post. So I use Adobe Premiere, and I'm going to show you how to do it in post in Adobe. So the method we're going to use in Adobe involves using a gray card. I picked this one up on Amazon really inexpensively. It's flexible, folds up, fits in a small pouch that's easy to put into your camera bag. And trust me, this is a great tool both for outdoor, indoor, still photography, video, whatever. You're going to want one of these. You can use this for the method of setting a custom white balance in your camera, as well as using it in post like I'm showing you right now. So what you want to do is film a few seconds of video of your subject, if you can, or yourself, or you can just set the gray card up where you're going to be sitting or where your subject is. It's a good idea to rotate the gray card around a little bit so that it catches the light in different ways, shooting for catching the light the way your subject is going to catch the light. So select a spot in the video where you can see here that the gray card is pointing a little bit too directly at the key light, so it's a little bright. And if I move it over a little bit here, that's a nice, even, medium tone. Get into your color panel, and under Lumetri Color, and then under Basic Correction, you will see White Balance and Tone. These are the first things that you want to do before you even get started applying a LUT. Click on the eyedropper next to White Balance selection and click on an area of the gray card that's free of creases and wrinkles and weird shadows, like up here, like down here, where it's nice and even, and just click on an area of gray. And you'll see right away changes made to your temperature and your tint. You can see that it took the temperature a little to the warm side, and it took the tint just a little bit to the magenta side, so it was adding a little bit more color there. This is a subtle difference because apparently the white balance settings in my camera were pretty close. So let me turn it off and then back on and then off again. So you can see the skin tones in my face look a lot better than they did without it. It looks a little bit more natural. So there's still a lot of work to do here with your exposure and your highlights and your contrast. And you want to make all of these adjustments, as a quick tip, before you apply a LUT. Because once you apply a LUT, it's really difficult to make adjustments. If you get it looking good here, then apply the LUT, then you can make some little fine-tune adjustments and be in pretty good shape. As far as LUTs go, I use the Ground Control Cinestyle LUT, and I find that it works really well. And then again, there's some extra highlights and stuff that I would have pulled out before that, but I wanted to show you what that looked like. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you watching. If you found anything in this video useful or interesting, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when my next video comes out. And I would really appreciate it if you would leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Give me some feedback. Tell me about your journey. What kind of things are you struggling with in setting up your YouTube videos? So thanks again for watching. I hope you have as much fun going through this learning process as I am. Be happy, be safe, and we'll see you next time.